Car trophy here at Goodwood is underway. Great start by David Dickinson from the middle of the front row. David Dickinson, number 44, the green one. He got away superbly well. Steve Soper's up on the outside, but that's also a good start for Alex Brundle, number 33. Going around the outside, Alex is on the grass. Oh, he gets it back on the tarmac. I thought he was going to go off there, Alice.
Yeah, very close. Fantastic start by Alex from that second row. But yeah, Steve Soper, a dreadful start for him. As you mentioned, he wasn't quite up to the line at the front, and that all makes the difference. And it clearly had, but David Dickinson, what a launch off the line.
Great to see. Down the back, Katsuaki Kubota. He's sharing that car with David Pratham, who'll be taking on later. Look at the slipping and sliding, and a bit of push and shoving. Andy Priaulx, number 13, there side by side as they head down towards Levant Corner. But it's a great battle up front at the moment as they all head around. David Dickinson just losing out to the lead, though, as Alex Brundle taking advantage. And he's managed to squeeze in front now. So Alex, who so nearly went off at that first corner, but now has managed to get involved. And this is all great stuff to see. Now we can watch some of the onboard action as well. On board with Mark Shaw. He's right in the midfield, sharing the car with Dario Franchitti, who will be taking it on later on. And you get a real sense of what it's like.
Yeah, look, and actually they've all behaved fairly nicely at the moment, which is really good. So you see them snaking around on the brakes coming into the chicane, nose to tail pretty much, all fighting the wheel. Still 43 minutes of this race left to go, so a long way left to go now, heading down. But that's a nice lead there so far, but that can all change very quickly. But number 33 car got healthy 7/10 at the moment.
Yeah, Alex Brundle leading this race. Oh, Andrew Jordan had a big switch there, managed to just about control it, but he's under pressure from Guy Smith. Guy Smith trying to get past him, moves one way, then the other. Two top drivers here, Andrew Jordan and Guy Smith. Just a little earlier, we saw a car out on track that Guy Smith won at Le Mans with. Now he's in a Ford Lotus Cortina Mark 1 that he might have seen as a kid growing up. And now he's pushing on Andrew Jordan. Andrew, a star of British touring cars and a man who prepares many of these cars. Now, how does Guy go about this? Where's the place to attack, do you think?
Well, you got a good attacking point into Woodcote, which will be the hardest braking zone on the track. But, you know, there's experienced drivers behind this wheel, so they're going to know where they need to put the car. But you can try and force the error in. So here they're coming down now into Woodcote. Alex Brundle with a nice, healthy lead there. The 2016 European Le Mans Series champion has got a nice little gap, so we'll see if Soper's going to have a little look at the inside. No, saves it for now. So he's just going to maybe sit and wait, but they are near enough, that middle sector. You can't point someone being quick as they're near enough doing exactly the same time through there. So very close times so far.
They are, yes, you're absolutely right. Alex Brundle still with the advantage. He had a 0.7 lead. It's not going to be much different as they come across the line. 0.9, so he hasn't pulled away much on that last lap. Andrew Jordan there in number 44, running in second place, but still under pressure from Guy Smith. Andy Priaulx is now up into fourth place. In the background, you can just see the car with a central stripe. So Andy Priaulx has just come up into fourth position now. There is Andy, and there's still this battle for second place. Guy Smith, look at Andrew Jordan's car wobbling around. They're both absolutely on the limit, and Smith is through.
Smith is through, yeah, you can see the 45 you mentioned wobbling and sideways, drifting it sideways, and Soper took the full advantage. So now Alex will see that in his mirror, but he's a calm driver, so he knows how to lead out the front. But he'll get his head down, but Soper, he's done a very fast first sector, a couple of tenths, so we're going to see a replay of the start, but you can just see what a launch from number 44 of David Dickinson, and Alex Brundle as well on that outside. He braved it all the way around the outside, here from front on back.
Yeah, you can see this. It wasn't a great start from Steve Soper, but Alex Brundle, as you say, as they went down towards that first corner, having started on the second row of the grid. Here, number 33, that's Alex Brundle going round the outside. I thought he'd overdone it.
I thought he'd overdone it. He said to me yesterday in the car park, he was like, you said I spun, I didn't. So there you go. There he's out in the lead. He said he needed to pull his finger out, and he certainly did at the start, and he's got a nice little lead now, but a very clean getaway from everyone, so well done.
That was brilliantly done, yeah, you're absolutely right. So Brundle is still our race leader. This was the onboard with Henry Mann. He's sharing this car with Karun Chandok, actually, so we'll see Karun. That was a good start.
Yeah, very good start. I mean, a mixture of starts on the grid. Obviously, people used to starting in different different stages. This goes right out on the grass, getting forced wide by the number 23, and actually ended up sort of in the wrong spot. So have a look at a replay here. That's Soper going down the inside, and Brundle too. They copied each other.
So all exciting stuff, and Andrew Jordan is missing out a little bit now. So Andrew Jordan has dropped down to 3rd place now with the green machine. So number 33, there is Alex Brundle. He is the race leader, being chased by Guy Smith, 711. Then you've got Andrew Jordan in that slightly different liveried car. Andy Priaulx is closing up in the number 13 car. Steve Soper dropping back a little bit down to in 5th position. Oh, that was, yeah, that's not going quite so well. Further down as well for Mike Gardner. He's dropping back. Mike Gardner, who in the car that Josh Cook took pole position, so that car started from pole. There it is, number 57, started from pole. It will be Josh Cook taking over when they make their pit stop, but he is just losing a few key places at this stage, and he's under a bit more pressure right now as well.
Yeah, so we're keeping it nice and tidy through there. Alex Brundle now coming across the line, built up a nice little lead of 2 seconds now, so keeping it nice.
Oh, the number 5 car has pulled off. That's Peter Chambers sharing it with Mike Jordan. That's a great shame. Looks as though it might be a mechanical issue there. Hopefully he can get the car out of the way as the racing continues. Still plenty of time to go. Brundle with a, yeah, as you say, a 2-second lead. Still in a good place out in front at the moment, but a long way to go in this race. And we're not yet around any kind of pit stop times yet. The pit lane won't be open for a while yet, so it's all about racing on track and trying to get as much as possible. And again, Andrew Jordan is slithering around, sliding around under pressure from Andy Priaulx, one of the great touring car racers as well. They're both great touring car drivers, and it's lovely to see them in cars like this, cars from the 1960s, which became such a great feature for Ford, combining with Lotus and producing these remarkable machines, but one on circuits, one in rallies, just about everything.
Yeah, certainly is. And we see a nice battle here between the 51 and the 77. Typical touring car style, getting extremely close to its mark. Sumter in the 77 there, just losing out, went slightly wide on the grass, or being forced slightly wide on the grass, however you want to look at it. So he's going to come under even more pressure from behind now.
Yeah, it is getting a bit tight there, isn't it? Hopefully going to find a way to keep going. Mark Sumter, who will be sharing in this car with Chris Goodwin, will be taking it on a little bit later. A little group coming into the chicane side by side. That's always, whoa, a little bit tricky. Oh, and onto the grass, the number 777. That is the car that Jake Hill will be taking on later on. It's Ollie Streak in that car at the moment. So Jake Hill's going to have his work cut out.
Yeah, but Jake loves a challenge. Fast driver. We've seen him charge through touring car grids on many occasions. So he won't mind a little bit of a challenge on his hand, that's for sure. But battles continue as we see a replay now. Who's that? Venturing off a little bit wide. Yeah,
just putting a wheel on the grass and managing to get away with it. That's Patrick Shovlin who did that. Look, there you go. Yeah, just runs a bit wide. Thankfully, it's not quite as damp as it has been here at Goodwood. It is still, the grass is still damp, but I think drying out a little bit quite quickly now, and that helped.
Ex-rally cars, hey, as well,
That's
because
true.
they seem to be handling pretty well on the grass as well.
He got away with it well, didn't he? So it is Alex Brundle who still has control of this race for now. 2.4 seconds the gap when he last crossed the line. As we look a little further down the order, the number 82 car there that we're looking at is the Darren Turner Craig Jameson car. That actually quite an emotional car. Craig Jameson driving that at the moment. Bought and rebuilt this car with his wife Karen, who sadly died in 2021, but Craig very much in memory of her this weekend by racing the car. There is our race leader, number 33, Alex Brundle. He's opened up that gap a little bit more, actually. Yeah, 2.7 seconds, nearly 3 seconds now that he's got. But interestingly, Jordan he's still down in 3rd place, but he's under a bit more pressure from Andy Priaulx. And Steve Soper, number 97, Steve Soper, the fully experienced driver, is now tucked in behind them as well. See if they can get a bit closer. This is impressive from Alex so far, though, I have to say.
Yeah, taking full control of this race so far, setting fastest lap by at least 2 tenths from those that are behind him, so he'll start to control the pace a little bit. Pit stops aren't too far around the corner, but still got a few more laps yet, as we see probably a few more cars getting a little bit sideways and getting forced slightly wide. Yeah, that's not the ideal racing line, is it?
That's the John McGurk driving that. That's the car that's sharing with Colin Turkington. So that's not ideal either, is it, for another British Touring Car champion who's going to be into that? So we shall just have to see. Yes, and actually, quick mention. I was mentioning Andrew Jordan. Of course, it's David Dickinson who is actually in the number 44 car at the moment. David Dickinson's in that car, so he will be handing over to Andrew Jordan a little bit later on, and that's what's going to be fascinating, because the fact that Dickinson is keeping it up at this level at the moment and Andrew's going to be taking it on later on, that is going to be really interesting to see what he can do.
Yeah, certainly can. So looking back now down the field, still close battles. Guy Smith actually has done a really good job, because he started in 6th place, so he was 1 position behind Brundle in the starting position, but they've both got a really good start, launched themselves forward. Alex now just stretching his legs even more. Another fastest lap by a couple of tenths on that last lap. Actually, it was 4 tenths quicker than Smith, so stretching his legs still.
Yeah, it's still happening, still working well. So let's just see how this works then. So Brundle still managing to pull away. He's going to be handing the car over to Julian Thomas when we do get around to the pit stop time. And Guy Smith, who's currently in 2nd place, he'll be handing over to Ben Klukas. And then David Dickinson, who's in this 44 car, he will be passing over to Andrew Jordan. As I mentioned, I mixed up the way, which way round they were, but it is David Dickinson who is going to hand over. He's doing a really good job, actually, David Dickinson, I have to say, because he's up against some big rivals here. And Andrew was saying he's got some real ability, but he's having to take on board quite a lot here at Goodwood this weekend. Meanwhile, Steve Soper is putting some pressure on Andy Priaulx. Number 13 is Andy Priaulx, and Steve Soper, number 97, is really putting some pressure on him now, looking for an opportunity to get past, but it's always tight into the chicane.
Yeah, you're going to be brave to take it through 2x2 in the chicane, but both highly experienced touring car drivers won many races in the time, so Andy, he'll know exactly where to put the car. He knows exactly where to put a touring car. Maybe a Lotus Cortina is a little bit harder to place, but what a battle we've got on our hands here for that 3rd position.
Yeah, we have. It's really hotting up beautifully. Further back down the order, there's the number 25 car at the moment. That's the Gordon Shedden Matt Neal car, and that Matt Neal in that car currently, and they're running in 7th position, under a bit of pressure right now from the 51 car, and Giorgio Perfetti is in the car right now. Neil Yarni is going to be taking that over when we get to the pit stops. So that's going very well. Perfetti driving pretty hard and putting Matt Neal under a lot of pressure. Mark Sumter is still running 9th in the car he's sharing with Chris Goodwin. And then Mike Gardner, who started on the front row, will be handing over to Josh Cook. He is down in 10th position in car number 57. About a 20-second gap back to race leader, though, Alex Brundle. So, of course, there's a lot of time to be made up by Josh Cook when he gets into the car later on.
Yeah, getting very close in the background now as they're heading down the extremely long straight down to Woodcote. And we'll see if it's going to make the move stick in the 51 car. Looking like pretty much got it covered. Yeah, getting it stopped as well, and even having a little look at the inside of their next victim as well.
So Matt Neal not quite able to hold him off, but let's see. Yeah, coming up to the number 70 car now as well. So this is going to be interesting whether they can get past the Justin Law, Rob Huff car. Justin is in it right now. Rob Huff will be taking this car on a little bit later on. And that is potentially a very, very front-running machine with that combination of drivers, Justin Law and Rob Huff, in the number 70 car, because it's got to stay in there. And it's very important, isn't it, Alice, when you're in a race that's of this kind of length, you've got 2 top drivers, you might get into a big battle. Try and stay out of trouble. You've got to keep that car in one piece, get through the pit stops and keep it tidy. Yeah,
exactly, because now we're seeing the David Dickinson car and the Priaulx car having a really close battle, so it's really heating up now. as Priaulx, but he's got a difficult position to be in, actually. He's got to attack, but he's also got to defend from Steve Soper as well. So he's in a tricky position, but in this position, I'm sure, plenty of times as well. So he's really got to think twice about where he's got to place his car, because he's got to have a little look, and pit lane now is open, so we'll keep an eye out of our commentary box window to see if any cars peel into the pit lane, and we'll start to see some driver change, which is another thing. It's a very important stage of the race.
Yeah, it is. So we saw quite a few penalties sometimes come up when they do their pit stop. So let's wait and see if that all goes cleanly. As Andy Priaulx, number 13, still pushing on hard, but hasn't found a way yet past David Dickinson. Now, was David looked like he might have been responding to pits? I wonder if he's going to be coming in next time to hand over to Andrew Jordan. That is possible. I don't know. I have to say, David is doing a great job. I think it's partly why I thought it was Andrew in the car, because he's sliding it around so much. It's kind of Andrew's style.
No, I mean, that's what we saw yesterday, some onboards and some footage of Andrew driving that car, and it seemed to go faster sideways. He was really ragging it round, so people coming into the pits now, there's no radio communication in these cars, so use of the pit boards, you'll see they're hanging over the edges. Who's that? We've got a first driver change of the race. They'll be strapping in the belt, so you'll try and do your bottom ones as well. You get the steering wheel on, so it's a real teamwork effort, and that's Josh Crook now, so watch out for him, because he, again, is a fast charger, as we've seen in British touring cars, race winner as well, so it'd be interesting to keep an eye on the 57 car.
Yeah, he did that great job in qualifying yesterday, and as we were saying yesterday, Alex, he's a star on these fast circuits. He's a real star at Thruxton. He always seems to win at Thruxton, and he's very rapid here too.
Very, very rapid. You see, you're probably thinking, why is the mechanic not letting him go? So they have minimum pit stop time. So the very quick driver change there, and we saw a couple of people get caught out in the Gurney Cup yesterday with being too eager with their stopwatches. So the Cook car being held maybe a little bit longer, just to make sure that they're within that window, because the last thing you want is a 10-second penalty or a drive-through.
Nicholas Minassian in car number 18. He's just taken over from Kyle Tilley, who we heard from on the grid earlier. So Nicholas Minassian is one of the most experienced Goodwood runners, of course, and we shall see how he gets on. But for the moment, no change up front. Alex Brundle is still leading, on board with Henry Mann once more here, as he tries to gain another place or two before making the pit stop and handing over to Karun Chandhok. See whether he's going to be able to gain position. He's 20th at the moment.
Car in front is the 66 car, put it perfectly on the inside. He knew what Henry Mann was trying to do, but he might get the cut back into the chicane. No, so it looks like the 66 actually is just stuck on their indicator to just let Henry know, I'm peeling into the pits. Yep, there we go, unless he was just trying to fall in, but clearly not. He was genuinely pulling into the pits as Henry Mann gives a wave to the pit wall, so I expect to see this car peeling in and Karun hopping in.
Yeah, next time round. That other car, the 66 car, that's Neal McFadden. He'll be handing over to Jochen Mass. As you can see, there's a lot going on, and now Andrew Jordan is in the number 44 car, so David Dickinson has done a really good job. I have to say that was a great first stint by David Dickinson. Is Andrew Jordan going to have that little bit of extra pace that he's still going to be able to challenge for the win? We haven't seen Alex Brundle come in yet. We haven't seen Guy Smith come in as yet, so he's still in second place. Andy Priaulx in third. Steve Soper is in fourth place. But we are seeing some pit stops, obviously, for some of the other drivers. And we know how quick Andrew is. He was second quickest in qualifying yesterday. Just looking at the number 4 car, that's the Marco Attar Tom Ingram machine. As this other battle is still going on as well. Justin Law, number 70, battling away with the number 51 car of Ambrosio Perfetti, the car that he's sharing with Neil Yarney. Good, close battling, but for the moment, Alex Brundle is still in charge of this race. So this fight still going on for 4th position, just outside a potential podium finish. Busy in the pit lane.
Yeah, very busy. So that was number 8 car. Now, that's a very tight pit lane as well. You can see you can barely open the doors to get in and out, just having to be really careful. So the number 8 now is David Brabham, who has hopped in. And here we go. This is the Karun Chandhok car. So that quickly unbuckling the belts. Hopefully they're about the same size. Karun's a little bit shorter, so you can see pulling the belts in the middle. Really hard to get to these, so that's why he's just putting his hands up. It's easier actually if someone else is strapping you in, because it's so hard with a helmet on and hands device. So he's going to make adjustments, make sure he's into gear, everyone else strapping him in, and they might do it in plenty of time, so actually then they'll be able to just sit there. You can see Henry's telling him a little bit of advice, what he needs to put on. Karun firing up the car, all getting ready to go. There we go. Let's see how quickly they did it, if they've got a little bit of spare time. No, and off they go.
Yeah, it's pretty much perfect, I think, for the time that was allowed. He obviously got the signal to, right, you can go now. So you still got to get on with it, but you don't have to panic in terms of making pit stop, because there is a minimum time.
Yeah, exactly. So charging through the gears now. A look in the mirror. Yeah, he's got a lovely clear track behind him. There you are, Karun. You can charge on now. Don't have to worry about anyone else behind. So they will peel out and slot fairly far down the field. Unfortunately for them, down in... Well, where are they at the moment? Down in, well, they're on 24th place. A long list to look through.
There is a long list. Well, at the moment, we are seeing some rapid laps being set. Josh Cook, number 57, who set that pace in qualifying yesterday. Josh Cook, there he is. He is putting in a very quick lap. He's just on a 1 minute 30.8.
Yeah, so he's absolutely blitzed the time by a good several tenths, actually. Jumped up into 12th. Alex Brundle had the fastest lap previous. So Josh Cook, yeah, he just seems to, well, love this track. Fast circuits. He's very handy around Thruxton as well. He's taken several wins there. So he's up, got a little bit of traffic in front of him. He's now peeling up to the number 25. That's the Neal and Shedden Team Dynamics car. So they'll know Josh well. It doesn't seem like putting up too much of a fight at the moment.
No, but you can see Josh working hard at the steering wheel, can't you? This is going to be a really good episode to watch, I think, to see how far Josh can get this car near the front, because we know he's got this tremendous pace. He's running it right out to the white lines, not quite onto the grass, but very nearly. And for the moment, he's chasing it down. So still no pit stop from Alex Brundle, nor from Steve Soper, but Andy Priaulx has now come in. Andrew Jordan in the 44 car now. He is definitely picking up some places, and I do still feel that Andrew Jordan is a potential winner of this race, along with David Dickinson. There we are, watching him right now. But until we get the other pit stops through, it's going to be very difficult to know exactly how this is all going to turn out.
Yeah, so Andrew Jordan is around about 3/10 slower previous lap to Cook. So both handy in these cars, different positions on track 2. As you can see, he's getting it fully sideways into turn 1, drifting it around. Even got the indicator on for good measure. I mean, luckily it's right-hand corners here. But yeah, he's absolutely ragging that car around this circuit.
So there's the Steve Soper car. That is now running in 2nd position, but it is some 11 seconds behind Alex Brundle. We're still waiting for those guys to actually come in for their driver change. Alex Brundle still leading this race, but he has not made his pit stop yet. We've got some very rapid drivers out there who have now got into their cars. Josh Cook in particular, who is flying along down in 11th place, but putting in some very quick lap times. We're watching the race leader here, Alex Brundle, that's number 33. So he's got a comfortable lead right now, some 11 seconds over Steve Soper, who hasn't come into the pits yet. Perfetti's not come back into the pits as well. Several have decided to leave their pit stops a little bit later. But we have got those that have come into the pits, and we do know that Andrew Jordan, who's taken over from David Dickinson, is flying along at the moment. He is one of the front runners that have made a pit stop so far, and Dario Franchitti just getting on board as well now.
He's got no one helping him do his belts. He's left to do it on his own. Oh, he's got someone popped into the side there, but it's, as I said, it's hard to see, but he's used to a little bit of endurance racing as now, so the pit lane is still pretty busy. Alex Brundle was actually waving his hand. I think that was Jake Hill in front of him. He caught up, but Jake's actually opened a little bit of a gap, obviously not necessarily on the same lap. Here he goes now. So coming into the pits, and he's caught up between a slower car in front of him.
Yeah, that's not ideal for him. He won't have lost too much time, but they've got to keep to the same speed limit once they're in there. It's just that entry. A professional driver will make that entry as kind of fast as possible. So now Alex Brundle is handing over to Julian Thomas. I wonder how Julian's feeling about this next stage of the race, because it's going to be some serious competition, but a useful lead that Alex has passed to him. Let's see how the pit stop goes.
Yeah, so definitely a useful lead. So he's going to blend out into maybe a little bit of traffic, because obviously cars are on different runs. They've come into the pits a little bit earlier or a little bit later. But now it's quickly to try and dial in as quickly as possible. You know, you've got people you're going out as they keep an eye on the stopwatch. People out there that have done several laps already, like Andrew Jordan, Josh Cook. So for you going out, you really need to do like a switch. You've really got to turn it on quickly to make sure that you don't drop back and lose any pace. Alex has done a great job for him, and actually he's come out on a perfect piece of circuit. Yeah, and I'm just seeing Jordan go past us now, so the gap is pretty big. I have to say there must be about an 8-second gap at least right now that he's got over Andrew Jordan. So let's see how Julian Thomas gets on. But it's not yet for the absolute lead, because Steve Soper's not come into the pits. This is Steve Soper, number 97, hasn't made a pit stop yet, so he has the official lead of this race, but they will have to bring that car in relatively soon before we get to the pit window closing. Still got a chance. Yeah, he's coming in this time, no surprise there, and he will be handing over the car to Mark Drain. Yeah, so getting the car fully stopped coming in. You can still see people making pit stops here. Julian ran slightly wide there. So, yeah, Julian Thomas getting himself around the car, this car that Alex Brundle has driven so well, the number 33 car. It looks like he's still going to have the lead for now, but let's just wait and see. Let's go and hear from Alex Brundle.
Alex, what a fantastic first stint.
Yeah, it all opened up for me at the start, didn't it? And we kept on going. Andy Wolff, of course, preparing an awesome car, so that's the main factor. But fantastic pace all the way through, and no doubt Jules will continue the good work now.
Yeah, Julian said he's never driven here, which I couldn't believe, but he's a very, very quick driver.
You know, we did a test just a few weeks ago, and I've never seen anyone get up to the pace here so quickly. Just an absolutely unbelievable job he did. And, you know, passionate amateur, and comes and loves his historic racing. But, man, the level of him is just quite spectacular. So, yeah, I'm sure he's going to carry it through to the end of the race now.
You've done a lot of good starts in your time, but that's got to rank in the top 3, surely.
Yeah, the seas rather parted on that one. But it was around the outside of Fallswater that was the hairy bit. But Mike, whose car I might have driven actually this weekend before we shuffled around, as is the way here at Goodwood, I know he's a good chap. So yeah, he gave me lots of space on the outside. So thank you to him for that.
Well done. Bit of a waiting game now.
Exactly.
Oh, a little bit of an error from his co-driver there, Julian Thomas, putting it on the grass.
Yeah, very, very close. I mean, lap time-wise, he's not doing too bad of a job. He's actually saying that it's 1.5 seconds slower than Jordan at the moment, but still a fairly healthy lead of about 8 seconds. But he seems to be really ragging it round. But a great job by Alex for opening the gap. So it's going to be tough. It is definitely going to be tough when you've got Andrew Jordan, who seems to know these cars really well, Julian with a little bit less experience. But I think it's going to be close towards the end, Ben.
Let's just see what this lap time is as he comes across the line. We saw a couple of little wiggles and wobbles. So that was a 1:33.7. But we do have some drivers lapping at 1:31, even a 1:30.7. Yes, Josh Cook has just done a 1:30.7. So this car still leads by 5 seconds, 5.5 seconds from Andrew Jordan in the background. If we have a bit of a look in the background, we will see Andrew Jordan, but not far behind Andrew Jordan, Josh Cook. So in the background, you could just see the green car of Andrew Jordan, and then behind is Josh Cook. And I think we've still very much got a fight on here.
Yeah, we certainly have. They're trading personal best and fastest sectors in Sector 1. So the gap is now down between Thomas and Jordan, 5.5 seconds the gap now, so the gap is closing. You see Jordan always constantly fighting the wheel. Then we've got Cook, who's always constantly fighting the wheel, who's actually set the fastest lap, a 1:30.7 on the last lap.
Beautiful drift out of Levant corner, and it's just going to be really interesting watching these two. Yeah, as you say, that lap he did, he was a couple of tenths quicker than Andrew Jordan. In fact, 4 tenths, I think, on that particular lap. Might have been that Andrew got a bit held up somewhere, but there's no doubt that Josh Cook has got real pace in the white car. The green car, that's Andrew Jordan, running in second place at the moment, and both of them are definitely catching up a little bit towards the race leader, Julian Thomas, who took over from Alex Brundle. Let's see what the gap is this time. Just looking back at, bit of a slide there for Mark Drain, who took over the Steve Soper car, number 97.
Just about held it. I was waiting for him to turn around, but a great piece of driving there. And is that Jake Hill having another little look on the grass?
Yeah, I think that is Jake, because that is after the pit stops, isn't it? So, yeah, I think you're right. But the gap is coming down, Alice. Look, it's down to 3.9 seconds across the line. So Andrew's getting that a little bit closer.
Yeah, so I think it's only a matter of time now. Previous lap, 1.7 seconds difference in pace. So we'll see in a few laps' time. He will be on the back. Traffic could come into play too, possibly. So we saw that have a big effect in yesterday's Gurney Cup and in the race earlier on today. So we've still got that factor to add in. But again, Cook is really setting the world on fire out there, but actually only a tenth quicker than Jordan. So it might be tough for Josh Cook to pull the reins in on Andrew Jordan.
Yeah, these guys are really having to focus absolutely on getting every tenth of a second, every few hundredths of a second around every part of the lap. That was a pretty big slide by the looks of things from Josh. But it's still this car, number 33, that is leading. Julian Thomas holding on, so he had a lead of 3.9 seconds when they last crossed the line. They are now just crossing the line once again. It's down to 2.2, so he gained 1.7 seconds here. Andrew Jordan in car 44, definitely closing that gap.
Yeah, and even Jordan has actually opened a little bit more of a gap now to Cook as well. But you can see Andrew's using every inch of track as well, as we ride on board now with Dario a little bit further on down in the field in 19th. A bit of understeer there, had to even wait for the power change down gear as well. Back up, little clunk, shake of the head, so maybe he's struggling with an issue there. Not so breezy with the gearbox at the moment. Yeah, so he's having a little think to himself, waving his hands about. He's got a long straight to do it. They're coming into Woodcote now. Hard on the brakes, do the hardest of the braking when you've got the car in the straight line, trailing the brakes in, just waiting to get the car rotated. A little bit of kick of oversteer, and then the very short run into the chicane. Lovely, feathering it through there. And then another long straight for these Lotus Cortinas as back to the front battle. And yeah, even again, visually, you can see that gap has closed down. Yeah,
there's no doubt that Andrew Jordan is on the charge, closing that gap. And we've got 12 minutes to go in this race, so he's in no great rush, but he wants to get this done, obviously. And this is putting the pressure on Julian Thomas. Oh, look how much he caught up through the chicane. Big gain for Andrew Jordan, very close to the back of the race leader now, and the two of them now. What he won't want to do, of course, is lose too much time waiting too long to get past, because he is going to be aware that Josh Cook is not far behind. If they fight for too long for the lead, that'll allow Josh to catch them.
Yeah, it will. So we want to clear it quickly, but at the same time not do anything crazy, because he's still got a good 4 seconds now back to Josh Cook. So we want to be smart here. Still 10 minutes left of the race. He's having a little look down the inside into St Mary's 1, thinks better of it. Gets the car nicely positioned. Julian's getting a little bit sideways. So now this is what I expect he'll do. He'll head down towards Woodcote now, get in the tow.
Oh, he's got very sideways. Huge moment for Andrew Jordan.
So into Levant corner, just really lost the race. I thought he'd be trying to wait to Goodwood, but clearly not. yeah, there you go. Just need to try and be a little bit patient, because now he's got to try and close the gap again, and that's allowed Josh Cook to go, right, okay, he's gone a little bit sideways here. I've still got a chance.
Let's have another look at this, Alex. I think he must have almost gone to full opposite lock here.
I think so. I think his light flashed before him and he thought, that's it, I've just thrown away potentially a win. Maybe he just didn't expect the closing speed of the car in front to be as great on the brakes, because obviously he is a chunk quicker, but that's the thing, racing against less experienced drivers need to try and adapt as quickly as possible. But I think it won't be for too long where he'll be back on the back of Julian and Josh Cook as well. Still saying very reasonably good lap times, actually a little bit slower than he's been doing at the moment. The pace of everyone pretty much seems to have dropped. So maybe these poor tyres are screaming for their lives at the moment, especially Andrew Jordan's now. Now he nearly, well, he went fully sideways.
He did well to hold it though, didn't he? Fantastic control to be able to do that. So many people getting to that kind of level would have lost it. But he kind of loves it, having this sideways momentum. But he is getting closer again. So we're now back down to that same corner, interesting, Levant. Meanwhile, there's some other good battles going on. Rob Huff now in car number 70. He's gradually picking up the way, but Tom Christensen is battling with him now. So Tom Christensen in car number 1, the pale blue car, the great Le Mans multiple winner. He is battling hard with Rob Huff here. Another tremendous driver, more in touring cars, and in fact Tom getting pretty sideways there as well. Lots to watch out for. Other drivers getting engaged. Darren Turner behind, and here's the battle for the lead, and he's done it. Andrew Jordan goes through.
Down into Woodcote is where we expect the heaviest braking zone on this circuit. He's down the inside. A fantastic move, and he was nice and clean and respectful to each other, both drivers. Great driving from the both. But now, here we go. He's not out of it yet, because Julian's got a fantastic run in the toe down to turn 1, but it's not quite enough. Andrew Jordan now needs to concentrate on just getting away, getting that gap, building a gap, because he'll know that Josh Cook is coming.
Yeah, Josh Cook is still not far behind the wheel. He hasn't really been able to gain much on that last lap. He's still a full 4 seconds away from the leader across the line. Whether Josh is going to be able to get any more out of the car, I don't know. As you say, I think the tyres are going off just a little bit compared to earlier on in this race. He's got a very clear 3rd place, because he's well ahead of Ben Klukas. So we shall see how that goes. But for the moment, 3rd place for him. Back to the race leader. It is Andrew Jordan, and let's take another look at how he did it.
Yeah, so late down on the brakes, and actually Julian gave him room, in all fairness. Didn't close the door, didn't try to defend. Maybe he's thinking, right, I've not got the pace. I want to try and keep 2nd place, you know, keep my foot on the podium. You can probably see maybe on the pit wall they're letting him know how far Josh Cook is behind, but Andrew's not stretched a big gap. So maybe Julian is learning from following Andrew up front. We can really see Andrew's car is never really going in a straight line, is it? He's always getting it on the real edge, using all the curve, all the road he absolutely can of this car. So Julian actually has popped up slightly faster time than he did last time round, and I think maybe that is because he's got Andrew is technically the carrot.
Good battle for 4th place here, no doubt about it. Ben Klukas in the car shared with Guy Smith, who was in it earlier. So number 711, that's Ben Klukas, the Guy Smith, Ben Klukas car. And that is being chased by number 25, the Gordon Shedden car. So the car shared with Matt Neal. That is Gordon Shedden that you're looking at right now. Had a big moment yesterday in one of the other races in the Ford GT40. But he's pushing on well, and we could see a change for 4th place. But Ben Klukas, although he hasn't had quite the British Touring Car success that Gordon Shedden has had, he is a very, very competitive driver. A lot of success at various different levels, and in recent years, particularly in historic racing. So this isn't going to be an easy pass for Gordon.
No, so coming up to Levant now is where we saw Andrew Jordan get very, very sideways. Then you've got the very long run down to Woodcote, where we've seen quite a few moves being made, but he's got 3-time British Touring Car champion of Gordon Shedden behind. He'll know how to make some moves, but then again, so does Ben Klukas as well. Fast, experienced driver. Let's see if he puts his car in the right position. Yeah, he moves slightly to the right-hand side if you're driving, forcing Shedden to have a look round the outside, keeps it tight still, just so Shedden doesn't get the cut back into the chicane. Nice driving, have to defend. So Shedden needs to try it out, get a good exit from the chicane, and have another attack down into turn 1.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That was beautifully positioned by Ben Klukas to just make it a bit harder for Gordon Shedden to get past. Andrew Jordan still leading with a 1.7 second advantage. Second place at the moment is Julian Thomas, the car shared with Alex Brundle, who led in the early stages. But this is the fight for 4th position right now, and it's very, very tight indeed. Gordon Shedden, car number 25, putting Ben Klukas under more and more pressure, but can he find the way? Because Ben is very smart at knowing exactly where to position the car. Shedden's going to have to do something a little brave, perhaps. Now, as you can see, Andrew Jordan, the race leader, number 44, he's in amongst traffic. Could make life a little bit more challenging. Let's just have a little look at... oh, there was a little bit of contact, unfortunately. The 77 car, that's being driven... I think that's Chris Goodwood in that one now.
Oh, that was close. Well, good job by everyone avoiding. But they've been pretty clean. Seeing they've got quite a few touring car drivers on the end, I thought they've been pretty clean so far. But this is now Andrew Jordan needs to try and manage the traffic as best as he can. As I mentioned before, we've seen in a couple of races today and yesterday it all go wrong with traffic. So the Karun Chandok car just in front now. Karun, experienced driver, respectful as well, pulls over. We'll be getting the blue flags from the marshals as well, just to let him know that the race leaders are behind him.
And Julian Thomas still in second place. He's not dropping too far back. He's doing a good job, but he is some 2.3 seconds behind the race leader, number 44. And having some work to do. Some of these other cars still being lapped. By the way, Gordon Shedden now is up ahead of Ben Klukas, so he did manage to make that move stick. As oh, actually, did he go back again? Maybe he did, because as they came across the line, he was ahead, but now he wasn't. So, all right, it wasn't Chris Goodwin in that car, by the way. Glad to say that. So. I'm not sure if that was the Mark Sumpter car or one of the other cars that had a little bit of contact a moment ago, but this is the fight that we're really enjoying. For 4th position, Gordon Shedden in number 25, snuck through briefly, but now back behind him again.
Yeah, so he's actually defending, going to Levant corner, making Gordon go around the outside, but Ben needs to really try and get a good exit, because there's a long run down the straight. Has he done that? We'll have a little look. Shedden looks like he's got an even better exit, trying to stay in the toe, nearly pushing him along down the straight. Down into the heaviest braking zone on the track. Again, Carbon Copy keeping Gordon on the outside. He's going to be brave to try and go around the outside here. Is he? No, thinks better of it. I think that's the right decision, especially in one of these.
But this is exactly what we wanted to see. What a level of driving from both drivers. You know, they're like centimetres apart. They haven't actually touched, but the judgment on both sides is very impressive.
Oh, it's hugely impressive. Very respectful, very clean racing, which is what we want to see. So this is what happened. He just, wow, brave move down into, is that turn 1?
Yeah. Late
on the brakes, held it there, then going around Fordwater into St Mary's. Is that, no, that's going into Woodcote. So yeah, very brave move, fantastic stuff. But coming up close behind, well, they're actually losing quite a little bit of time. This battle is the number 51 car there in the back of your shot in the blue car. So it could be that Shedden then, instead of keeping his eyes forward, he's going to look rearwards as well.
Ben Klukas, number 711, doing a fine job so far. Man who won the Australian Formula 3 title in 2006, has raced GTs and won GT Championship in Spain in the past. Runner-up at the Silverstone 24 Hours in 2010. Lots of classic racing, as I mentioned. Up against Gordon Shedden, one of the most famous touring car drivers over the years, and so far he's either fended him off or got him back again. And now joining in the fun and games is Neal Yarni, number 51. He is in that battle as well. There is our race leader. It is Andrew Jordan, and he's going on to the final lap now. It's all looking good for Andrew Jordan after a brilliant pairing with David Dickinson, who did an excellent first stint in this race. They've opened up the gap a bit more now. second place is still at this stage. The car was driven by Alex Brundle, but now has Julian Thomas in it. Julian Thomas has driven very well, but hasn't quite been able to fend off Andrew Jordan. He's dropped back to about 4 seconds behind him now. Josh Cook is still holding on to 3rd position. And then we've got that amazing battle going on between Ben Klukas and Gordon Shedden all the way to the flag, I think. At the moment, though, Klukas is still just about holding on. That could come to an interesting end, but Andrew Jordan has been the star of the show. And you know what, Alice? He started his motorsport career in rallycross, brilliant in rallycross, and I think that car control he learnt in rallycross has been extremely helpful today.
I would say so. I think he's taken that across into this, which looks extremely useful for driving these cars around this fabulous circuit as he heads down. Final couple of corners now for Andrew Jordan. Fantastic job to get himself up into P1. The battle behind is still raging. So we still got back. There's a 3-way battle now. Absolutely fantastic.
But here we are out of the chicane for the final time. It's the number 44 car. Andrew Jordan takes victory with David Dickinson in the Jim Clark Trophy at Goodwood. Now, what's going to happen behind? Look at this. It's all still very, very tight indeed in the battle.
They've got up the Josh Cook car. That's the Josh Cook in 57.
Yeah.
So we've got a change for podium there. So I'm not sure what happened on the last lap there with Josh Cook.
Julian Thomas has taken 2nd place, and it's Gordon Shedden who's taken the podium 3rd. Number 25, just beating Ben Klukas across the line. What a battle that was, right into the final lap. But superbly driven by both David Dickinson and Andrew Jordan to take victory in the Jim Clark Trophy.